Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 124 of Dissonant Waves. My name is Dominic. Ritz and Tricks are here, as always.
I'm
Hello.
finally, not as always, I wasn't here for the last one.
Oh, that's
I'm
true.
driving
That's right.
higher fidelity this week.
If
I'm
you really want to be
finally back this
specific,
week.
you were gone in the previous episode. We took a week off, and now you're back.
Yep. Yep, don't catch a cold, kids. It wasn't fun.
We got a good amount of stuff to talk about this week. I chose Against Me's 23 Live Sex Acts, their live album, their most recent one, live album. Ritz chose Mom Jeans' Best Buds, and Tricks chose a couple things. Phoneboy by Phoneboy, and the Boredom Keeps Me Up at Night EP Deluxe Edition by Disco Inc. / Fredo Disco.
Indeed.
So, Ritz, since you were gone, and the two of us did a lot of talking last time, what do you want to talk about at first?
I'm going to talk about, and it's kind of an interesting pick that Trix has done, which is what we're going to do here, and we're going to do both of them at the same time.
Okay.
Because for once, someone has actually picked two albums that are actually good to compare to each other.
Interesting
So,
choice.
Yeah, we're usually not so good at picking relatable content, but yeah, the Fredo Disco and the Phoneboy are basically both emo indie DIY acts,
Yes.
and one of them sounds a lot more lo-fi than the other, but the other one also sounds a lot more DIY than the other. The Fredo Disco one, I'm going to start off with my take on this, why I thought Phoneboy was better. I'm not going to bother with any build up to that. The Fredo Disco one I didn't hate, but it sounded intentionally shit in a bad way. And I don't mean that as in, everything here is supposed to sound off key or everything like that. It sounds like they spent a lot of money to make it sound like they spent no money.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's what I felt from the Fredo Disco, and it's alright if they just wanted to make lo-fi emo, but why not just actually make lo-fi emo?
Fair.
They just made high production lo-fi emo, and it just did not. It's not like it sucked. I mean, the dude's not that good of a lyricist, to be honest. I didn't think
And he's not the
anything
best.
too much of the comments, but it's not like anything there was making me go, oh fuck, man, this is giving me a headache. I mean, it's just the worst lyrics I ever heard from an album last year, and it wasn't an album that came out last year. It was just lyrics that I heard last year. Was realizing that I think it was Lewis Tomlinson who put out the words, "You keep putting up your fences, but I've never felt so defenseless." And that was one the first time I ever heard it, I got an audible groan come out of me. What I'm saying is, I got no audible groans come out from these lyrics, but I also never got the whole audible, "Ooh, that's a great line," or like that. It was just, again, it goes into that whole, it feels like it cost a lot of money to sound like they spent no money or effort. It was just very, whatever, it sounded like whatever came out of the top of their heads first. And it's alright, but it's also could have used more actual work. And that was my feelings on Fredo Discos from the listens that I gave them.
Yeah.
So I did some research on them because this is another Chicago act that Trix has picked.
Hell yeah.
They're actually from Downers Grove, a suburb very close to me. This is a chronic thing that a lot of Chicago band from the suburbs like to do, pretending they're from Chicago when they're really not. It's kind of a meme in general, just acting like you're from Chicago when you're really from a suburb that's 45 minutes away by train. So
I say this as a fellow Chicago man myself.
We're all Chicago men on this fine day.
But no, so Fredo Fosco is his name, but he's Fredo Disco because whenever he puts his name into his phone for whatever reason, Fosco corrects to disco, and so that's where the name comes from.
I got
pretty
people like
funny.
that. I know a trustable.
And so this is like a high school act of sorts that, from my understanding, there's been some other names thrown around here and there, but Fredo eventually kind of went on his own to do his own solo stuff in high school, and then he kind of got a band back together again, and then he's like, okay, well, the band's Disco Inc., and I'm Fredo, and it's gonna be when it's the full band, it's disco. When it's just me, it's Fredo. But then they're both credited on albums and shit. It's really confusing.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really pin down what the thinking is, other than Disco Inc. is meant to be the big band thing, and then Fredo is supposed to be him, and then whatever else happens. Kind of unclear if they broke up super much. Like they seem to have been active somewhat recently, and the bassist from Beach Money, Aiden Kata, was part of them for a while.
Oh damn!
After this EP came out, so
Chicago
there's some emo
scene.
cred. But what was that?
The Chicago scene.
Yeah, it's one big giant fucking network of people. Apparently, also Fredo is bigger on SoundCloud, so that's also there's some like other acts and stuff like I Am Orange. Apparently, is another side project of his.
I feel like I've heard of that actually.
Yeah, but to talk about the music itself a little bit here, it's all right. It's fine. Like I didn't hate it. Kind of like you said. I also like. Yeah, it has the spirit of like, oh, these are fun, like indie DIY emo kind of like song titles, like Ghost of Mariano's perfect example. That sounds like something you'd hear on like an emo record. But what does that have to do with the actual song? It's like, okay, Mariano's, it's a fucking grocery store chain. Ghost of that, sure. But it's really more about, oops, I fucking hate my job. Wish they'd fire me. I'm trying to fucking watch TV and stop sleeping, and I fucking hate myself, and I eat a lot of shit food. That's nothing to do with the Ghost of Mariano's, really, unless the job is Mariano's, maybe.
It's a mood as a grocery store worker.
That's fair. But the only song I think that really got away with like just being a good, genuine song on its own and just being like cool to listen to was "Don't Play with Matches," the opener. I kind of really dug that. But the kind of the bigger songs here, like Frankenstein and Ghost of Mariano's, it's kind of a give and take of like, well, it's not the best lyrics in the world, but I don't hate the guy's voice.
We also did the deluxe edition for this, which the deluxe edition has the acoustic version of those two songs.
Right.
And I don't think I've ever heard more pointless acoustic songs, because vocally they sounded the exact same. Which it didn't actually sound. It could have been, and if that was, then I give props to having for having vocals that you can replicate that well.
Yeah.
But acoustic songs, usually you get a chance not just to play around, obviously, with the instrumentation of it, but also how you sing the song. But listening to them, it sounded like they just changed the mixing of the instrumentations and left the vocal mix the exact same to them. And it could be wrong. I didn't bother to go obviously check this in any kind of audio comparison software or even Audacity or anything like that, right, to try and get the isolated vocal tracks or anything like that. And I will assume that it's just sung with the guitar until proven otherwise anyway. But still, that's not really my criticism. Isn't if the vocal mix is the exact same. Is that even if it's not, I can't tell the fucking difference.
Right.
And it feels pointless in this case to have these acoustic tracks. I mean, yeah, you can do it, but it's like you just added just acoustic strumming to songs that don't really work with them, with how the songs are sung.
It changes the entire vibe for me, if I'm going to be honest.
It does.
It's a different vibe.
I think they work okay with the lyrics. It's kind of like, listening to the guy from a band you like just do a coffee shop set, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think if they are totally new vocal tracks that he's just able to replicate what he's put onto the studio sessions, then I'm impressed. If it's not,
but let's go back on. I'm going to go back on to actually your comment there. Obviously, doing the reference of the coffee shop to Jeff Mangum there. And Jeff Mangum changed up the vocal sounds.
Yes.
On songs. I mean,
he was sick. It was very clearly had to.
It wasn't just that, but songs would also go faster to fit with the acoustic strumming as well there if they had to be, or obviously sung in different ways there. So it's not really just the vibe of a coffee shop on here. It's just
no, it's not. It's more
it's just acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Underneath his vocal tracks.
It's like sitting down with your friends in the studio and just playing it for them again, but on your guitar, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's kind of what they're going for, is the kind of more intimate, like, let's hear the real thing, right, from the real guy. No bullshit, right? That's kind of what the vibe is giving off to me.
I could see that, yeah.
But kind of like you said though, if the vocals are just carried over, then it's not impressive.
And that's the only thing it will have going for it. Because as I said, I'm just going to assume that he has just done it again. And if that is, yeah, again, it's impressive. It's always impressive when artists can replicate studio vocals, especially since studio vocals aren't the first attempt that you usually hear on there. There is usually a shitload of fucking attempts on there.
Yeah. But other than that, like, the guy's voice is interesting to me because it has a little bit of that, like, new metal twang to it, I feel like, but not in a bad way. Like, he feels like a modern singer. Like, he could sell records in a more mainstream way because he has that, like, Daughtry Nickelback-esque kind of lilt a little bit, but he's doing this instead.
I also just want to point out, I love the expression new metal twang.
Yeah, I feel like modern emo will never get to the correct level of whininess, not angst, just whininess that new metal got in the in the early 2000s.
You sure about that?
Ooh, fighting words.
I have some things to talk about later if you're unsure.
There is. I'm not saying it's not a challenge, but I still think new metal got to quite a very bad level of whininess.
Oh, it did. It did. But I mean, it's interesting to me that Fredo wanted to go this route because I don't necessarily think that it all totally works. Like, I think there is some disconnect between, like, what he's trying to do and, like, the instrumentation style of it. Like, it's fine. It works well enough for what it is, but, like, kind of like if you look back at our Lucas Skookus saga, right? All the iterations he's been through. He feels most at home to me in Grief Eater. Like, that feels more of what he's been trying to actually do over the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
I'm gonna have to stop you for 2 seconds to take a look at Trix's cat, who she has just shared Monty over camera here.
Oh, hello.
This is very important for the podcast. Yeah. Say hello, Monty. Come on.
He doesn't want to be held right now, but he climbed up on my lap. He's going down.
Those be tabby cats for you. They're just, they just annoy you whenever they can.
Yeah.
This doesn't really feel like something that I really see Fredo doing forever. Like, this is not the genre that really calls to him, I feel like. Like, he's doing all right at it, but there's something about it that feels...
There's people who seem to like this style of music as well, especially as artists, but also when I searched up Disco Inc. and Fredo Disco, there was a Reddit thread saying, why do people hate this band? And I didn't go much further into it, so maybe they are a bit more controversial in the scene.
Oops, I should have done some Google searches.
I don't think it's...
I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything like wrong.
Allegations. I don't think it's allegations. I think it's just they don't like the music.
Like, and there seemed to have been some, like, weird fuckery with the record label stuff, and that might contribute to them breaking up or something. I don't exactly know, but I do know that both Mom Jeans and Fredo Disco have toured with Tiny Moving Parts. So
that's the controversy.
So that's something. And and both of them, and I believe Phoneboy, have also all referenced Remo Drive this week, which I thought was fun. Or at least in my research, they all had talked about Remo Drive at one point or another. So there's a commonality to all three of these that Against Me doesn't quite keep up with, but Against Me holds its own, I think. But
it does.
But yeah, this is all right.
But then if we move on to Phoneboy, it's like night and day in the difference here, especially when they're both basically DIY.
But oh yeah, Phoneboy sounds so much more produced.
Yeah.
Like, never mind.
You have one that sounds like it's spending all its money to sound like it's spending as less money as possible, and then the other one just sounds like they tried to make the best album they could.
Yeah. Like, never mind.
Night and day.
Never mind puts them in like that Arlie category of like really cool, interesting indie pop, but this one has more of an emo twinge, I would say, overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
No.
one was just fun to listen to.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
anything out there that was absolutely mind blowing. I mean, if you ask me what my favorite songs of the week and stuff on here, I'm not going to probably tell you a Phoneboy. I'm probably going to be biased and say it's Mum Jean's song on there. That's just songs, Dominic, not albums. But in terms of just listening to this from start to finish, there was a bit more trangly instrumentation with the guitars on here than on there. It felt more attuned to indie pop than it did to emo, but yeah, there still was a bit of an emo twang on this album. But it was just fun.
Yeah,
it was one of those ones where it goes like, if I go fully in depth into it, yeah, I would probably, and by fully in depth, I mean if I properly invested enough time to tell you every single fucking thing about the album, I'd probably be able to tell you, okay, this isn't really what works so well compared to what people could, or that. But if you just shut up, listen to the album, and not really worry about that, it's fun. You have a lot of fun, and that's it's not the highest praise you can give an album, but it's never a bad praise to. I mean, it's never bad praise to get. But if you can make an album like that, then you've still succeeded. I don't really give a shit about any other fucking statistic or ranking that you get after that. If you've made a good album, you've made a good album.
Yeah.
There's not really much else I can change that.
Yeah.
Like, I put this on the car with my friends. My friends seemed to dig it, and there was no complaints. No one wanted to turn it off. So, and no one had ever heard of fucking Phoneboy before. So it passed the random car test at least.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You were saying that you don't think anything here is like the best song of the week. I would disagree. I think Nevermind's the best song of the week, pretty much.
It's all opinions, but it's not like I'm fully disagreeing with you.
No, I'm just saying I really enjoyed that.
It's a good song.
Yeah, it's a really great opener.
Yeah.
And it's like nothing here is like nothing super like, brings me to like, oh, it's top 10 of 2021 or anything like that. It's just a fun album, and I think there's some highlights and lowlights. Like I think it kind of tapers off a little bit at the end, but you have songs like Sweater Song or Acid Girl or Coco Lala that I'm like, hey, these are fun, these are cool, I like these.
Yeah.
And I think it opens and kind of stays strong throughout like the first leg of it too. So I mean, it is a debut as like a first real effort in an album from this group. They're doing pretty well.
Yeah, they've definitely put themselves after one listen onto the whole. I will look out for them in the future list that I keep in my head.
I mean,
they got an EP out, so
they have an album coming out this month, I believe.
Oh, it might be an album that was just a single day release. I just saw the latest released EP on Spotify.
I think those are the singles for the album. Yeah,
those are the singles.
Moving Out. I believe is the album.
Yeah, I got more stuff to do, and you better believe there'll be something I'll be listening to this year.
Yeah, like this is, I feel like Arlie and this group and a few others we've covered, I feel like fall into this kind of genre, but I don't feel like just saying it's indie pop is exactly the most correct thing. Like I feel like they're all in like a kind of a mainstream but still DIY indie kind of vein of. They're really radio friendly and approachable, and they're danceable, and they fulfill a lot of the obligations that pop music has. But they also kind of come out of nowhere and seem to not have that like, oh, record label backing, which is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a mix of like the DIY aspect, but also the polish to it that I think, we can talk about how music has really opened up to the masses thanks to a lot of computer programs and studios just being around more now and stuff like that. But there's a movement to this that I think is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've said anything that I can say just perfectly.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of just do some highlights and like talk about how I found this album.
Yeah,
I found this album just kind of scrolling the algorithm, and Hey Kid is what piqued my interest on it, because with the fucking Ricky Clean Your Room.
Yeah.
And the album just kind of grew on me, and I'd like to kind of highlight FOMO as a fun song.
Okay.
Just fun music.
Yeah.
Fun music.
What brought you to Fredo Disco?
Uh, I found that again. That was the algorithm, and I was stoned when I was listening to it the first time, and I swear I heard Naomi's chord progression in Frankenstein,
Maybe.
and it just kind of grew on me.
No, I feel no, I feel like I understand what you're talking about in the beginning there. Yeah.
Hmm.
I can kind of hear what you're talking about with that. I don't know if it's exactly the same or anything, but there's a
It's
similarity.
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, no, like these are both pretty solid finds, I would say. I prefer Phoneboy more than Fredo and Disco Inc, but
I do too.
the thing is,
Favorites, least favorites?
other than Don't Play With Matches, I don't really have any favorites on the Fredo side of things, but also no least favorites. For Phoneboy, Nevermind's my clear favorite. I also like Acid Girl and Roses and stuff like that. Least favorites probably Handheld or Lately.
Favorites of Fredo Disco. Yeah, opener, probably Kankasaur as well. 'Cause that one, I felt like lyrically was probably at least for everything they were going for, at least that one felt somewhat more personal than the rest of it.
That's fair. It's a metaphor
So,
song.
yeah, and that's so, I'm not so fond of it more than the other songs in it, but it's probably the best off it. Least favorites, probably, that's a That's a hard one. I'd probably say Frankenstein Acoustic because that one definitely was just adding absolutely nothing.
I would agree, actually. The
Favorites,
acoustics are probably my least favorite part of that.
yeah. Favorites of Phoneboy, Nevermind, and Sweater Song. Least favorite, probably Lately.
For me, favorites off of The Boredom Keeps Me Up at Night. Ghost of Mariano's and Cankersaur, no least favorites. I do want to shout out the acoustic versions. They just feel like jamming in a dorm room with your buddies. And for Phoneboy, favorites, sort of just kind of the first half of the album. Oh, Jesus, fuck. Cat knocked over a lamp.
That's my favorite song.
Favorites are kind of just the first half of the album, and no least favorites on that. And I'm gonna go fix that lamp real quick.
All right. In the meantime,
So,
I can't be fucking doing this.
want to continue our emo discussion?
Yeah, I reckon that'll be the way to fit it. So, I picked Mum Jeans because I'm seeing Mum Jeans this Friday now. It's actually going to be a bit more time originally from recording, but here we are. Which I'm excited for because we don't get much of the Midwest emo scene coming over to Australia. So I'll take any chance we can get. And am I a huge Mum Jeans fan? Look, I like some of their songs quite a lot, and I think they are a lot better of a singles band than they are an albums band. So when it comes to probably the take that I know you're going to have, Dominic, which you haven't been so fond of Mum Jeans, I think as an album there is a bit of filler on this, even if it's not intentional filler. But I still think the highlights of this album are highlights.
Yeah, so I mean, Mom Jeans is a band I've been aware of for a while. Oh my god, I just realized their album is fucking listed for $4.20. Jesus Christ. On Bandcamp. But I have heard of Mom Jeans for a while. I have a coworker who has highly recommended them to me because we talked about that I really like the emo scene that's going on right now, and he's like, you should listen to this. And he played me one of the songs. I can't remember which one he played for me. But I it might be because I associate him with this song or with this band, but it really just seems like a very, like, I know it's not, but it this band gives me very straight hetero, like, weed stoner guy vibes.
Yeah.
And I know, like, the lead singer's like non-binary and stuff, and that's really cool. But I I'm like filling in a lot of the blanks here with just stuff because I don't know, there's something about this album that, like, the singing is not the best. I understand that that's not always the point. And I will say, after repeated listenings, the instrumentation kind of grew really warm on me, and like I kind of appreciate the instrumentation more and more overall, so that I don't like hate it or anything. But there's a lot of whininess on here and a lot of things where I'm just like, I do not care. Get over it. And I know that's very harsh to say. Like, just the way things are kind of presented and like the things they're singing about and kind of like the things that matter to them don't matter to me, right? Like they're very into smoking and drinking in a way that I'm not. And like there's the whole thing about, I'm afraid if I start shaving and, not drinking as much that you're not going to like me. And I'm just like, okay, but so what? Like that shouldn't stop you from getting better. That shouldn't stop you from doing the things.
You're kind of going in circles here, so I'll kind of
yeah, I'm
follow
sorry.
on. Yeah, no, it's all good. So when this album released, it was pretty big in the Midwest emo scene. I know Midwest is not really covering the Midwest anymore. It's just more the terminally online scene. But this is a fourth wave album. It's not a fifth wave album.
Sure.
And you can already kind of tell the big differences between fourth wave and fifth wave as well. Whilst fourth wave definitely had a lot of emphasis on being a revival of the whole emo scene, while fifth wave is taking it into strange new places. This album, by all means, is not groundbreaking. Even if you're going to go on to like all the other big albums of the revival scene, they all basically came out way before this. I mean, Hotelia, which is seen as one of the best albums of the fourth wave scene, was 2014. Algernon Caladweta, that was 2009. Same with Brave Little Abacus, so way before it. Other acts like The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die. Years before this as well. It is nothing new. And I won't go out and be one of those people that says this is one of the greatest albums of the emo scene, because simply put, it is not. But that being said, with all of it, there were still just certain moments on this album that I just keep going back to, because when Mum Jeans gets it right, just not talking about the lyrics on here, not talking about the vocals, we are talking about the instrumentation, because that is where this album shines, and when they get it right, it's fucking great.
Yeah.
Poor Boxer Shorts, really great opening riff on there, just really catchy. Girl Scout Cookies, when the instrumentation just drops at the start after that kind of slow crooning start there, and it just goes heavy into this kind of moshy the sound, again, hits perfectly. Scott Pilgrim versus My GPA, when the fucking a trumpet comes in, or the trombone, or I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, the horns are cool. I always like horns.
Oh, yeah.
We know you like horns, Domino.
It's a fucking great use of the brass, though.
Yeah.
Great use of the brass, is that what they call it now?
Yeah.
We're like 5 seconds away from making a horny joke.
We already there. And I mean, even some of the moments, like, you would hope from Edward 40 Hands, where they used the Bob's Burgers sample at the start, that it would probably take a little less seriousness for some of the songs that kind of don't. Yeah. I do like the start of Edward 40 Hands just being actually kind of funny with a using a sample of Bob's Burgers to say Mum Jeans is out of all the calling cards that you can have in a song, I think that's still the fucking funniest.
Do you guys know that Edward 40 Hands is an actual game?
I believe it, yeah.
It's a drinking game where you duct tape 2 40 ounces of malt liquor to your hand. And
I have heard of that. Yes.
You can only remove them once you finish it, meaning you piss your pants.
Sure.
Dude. Cat. Can't be up in my business right now.
That being said, now though, there are some moments on this album where Mum Jeans don't get it right. I think, especially the first couple songs, Death Cup would be a lot better if it was half the length.
I mean, I appreciate that they're going for emotional vulnerability and, like, the whole, like, masculine people can cry too kind of thing.
Yeah, but they do that sound better on Vape Nation anyway, and then Vape Nation shouldn't even really be a closer. It feels finished after Scott Pilgrim versus My GPA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
agree.
like I can understand why this album was definitely big when it came out, and like I said, I'm still excited just to see a Midwest emo act. And there are Mum Jeans songs after this album, even though a lot of people don't like the second album. I haven't really gotten into it, nor was I so big on their third album outside of songs like Anime Theme Song and Something Sweet. Um, but again, that's why I kind of still do like going back to this band as well. Is that they are a lot better of a songs band than they are of an album band.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think there's anything wrong with being an artist that just has like, okay, obviously we have the big players like in what we've covered, like Neutral Milk Hotel and Middle East. We'll give us 2 examples where basically all their full lengths we all just love.
Yeah.
And then there will just be bands where you just go and say, all right, well, as a full length, it's kind of shitty, but hey, I like moments, and these are moments that I genuinely want to go back to. And some people will go to Mum Jeans and say, and there'll probably be some Mum Jeans fans if they listen to us. They'll go, okay, well, actually, this album is a lot better, so fuck you, which is fair.
Sure.
Because I think there are some parts of this as well that's going to be left to personal opinion. I'm not a heavy weed smoker, so I personally don't really relate with a lot of the weed topics in here. Trix had to inform me that Girl Scout cookies was a cannabis strand. I didn't know that. Trix told me it was common knowledge. That's
I didn't
feel
know
like it's
either.
really common knowledge.
News to me.
I
In
didn't
the
know
stoner
either.
circles, I'd say.
But I mean, like when the
Drum
lyrics
circles,
are, when the lyrics are something like, I know it seems like I'm wasting my time away on things that still don't matter. I don't care who can shotgun faster, but when the goat runs dry, what's left behind is someone I don't mind I'm dying with. Like, I understand that when your life is that stuff, that's what you relate to, and that's what you end up singing and writing and feeling about. But I don't relate to it, and I kind of like, I don't know. I guess I'm older now, and like this is like college level stuff in a way where it's like, oh, sure, whatever.
It's just no. I can correct you there. It is college level stuff.
Yeah, like, oh yes, the smell of cigarettes on your flowered dress. Like, oh, I mean, do you really like cigarettes that much?
Yeah,
Yeah. No.
I do.
I
Make
think
me a
we can
wedding
get.
dress out of cigarettes.
I think we can get Trix to do all the all the cigarette analogies here, all the relatable content. Although I'll tell you what, it might be the most disappointing thing that Trix has ever heard. Mac DeMarco's given up the ciggies,
Oh, motherfucker.
so I don't know what
Good
I
for
don't know.
him.
I mean,
Good
I don't
for
yeah,
him.
know.
I don't mind
Yeah, it's good for
people
him.
smoke. Like, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But
I
I
don't
mean,
know. I don't know who Siggy lovers look up to now.
mom jeans, I
I will
guess.
become the new cigarette mascot.
Please do. I mean, I feel like in like the, if I really want to call back to like 60, 70 years ago in like the 50s and 60s, when I feel like it was much easier and much more interesting to get away with like being into smoking culture and kind of making that your image and your vibe. Like the artists and acts who were coming out of that time, especially in like the beat poetry circles and things like that, were, I think, I don't know, more relatable, more real in that way, where to me, this band at least, it feels like they're really trying to force it, I guess, in the end. Like,
I'm just thinking, just listening to you say, and I don't care about this. All they do is talk about weed, and then we'll just get another stoner metal band.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I'm being harsh. I
No,
know.
it's,
I do.
it's-
Like I said, the instrumentation got better for me, and I actually really grew to like the instrumentation a lot. There's a warmth to it that I like I was saying, and stuff like the intro to Baby, or I'm sorry, Sobs Quietly. We kind of like that doo-wop guitar intro. I like that stuff. That's cool. But there's a disconnect, I guess.
There's just got to be parts of this album as well that are down to personal preference and what you've just heard. And I mean, I'm one of the ones who thinks the vocals is fine. To be honest, I think it works fine with everything else that's going on. Is he the greatest vocalist, or is he they? I don't remember exactly what pronouns they use. Greatest vocalist? No, but it's fine. I don't really have too much to criticize other than that it is sounding intentionally rough. Like I've listened to some of the Audio Tree lives and stuff, and they sound just slightly better in a weird way. But I kind of still rather listen to the studio version. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Trix, what did you think?
It was okay. It didn't really stand out to me or anything really. It's an acceptable album, I guess. It was fun to listen to. There were fun moments, but I have don't have too much to say.
You're not relating to the cigarette and drinking culture?
Nah, because I'm one of those weirdos that smokes cigarettes because I like the taste, and I'm not like fully the full depressed, just smoking my days away. I just
What the fuck's the taste? It's smoke and menthol.
it's
You,
nah.
you fucking go up to the gas station, fucking drink the petrol, and go, I love the taste of this. That's why I buy so much.
Once you smoke more, there's subtle like differences between different cigarettes, and then you get into like the whole flavored things. And I love clove cigarettes because I'm a fucking hipster, and they just taste like cloves and they're delicious, and I love them.
I'm certain at this point you're just tasting your fucking teeth.
Oh yeah.
Man, I just want to cry after that joke.
Didn't really land.
No, unfortunately, it did not land.
Anyway, Mum Jeans. Favorites, who's favorites? Alright, Trix, you're going first.
1 second.
She loves the taste. Loves that taste.
I like the bass intro to Danger Camp. Edward 40 Hands was pretty chill. And Movember I like, I'm not gonna lie. No real least favorites.
Favorites, Girl Scout Cookies and Scott Pilgrim versus My GPA. Also shout out to Paul Boxer Shorts. Least favorite, Danger Can't, I'm not a big fan of, nor am I really the first half of Movember. I think it drags on a little bit too long. Yeah, probably those two are my least favorites.
Fair enough.
Can I just say that I like the instrumentation and don't care about the lyrics or songs themselves?
Have we cheated before in our rankings? Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fair game, I'd say.
I don't think I'll just say that.
Alright, so remember how we're going to make a horny joke? Yeah, well, here's 23 live sex acts.
Yeah, so like I was saying last time, in March of 2020, Dog Park Dissidents was supposed to play a show with Against Me that got canceled because of COVID, and this is really the best we can do to make up for it.
Hell yeah.
The 23 Live Sex Acts is a live album by Against Me that is edited and made to seem like it is one continuous concert on February 29th of 2014 in the Dirty Clit at Kiev, Indiana. But that's not a real place, and this is actually rumored to just be a bunch of songs from across their tour stitched together in such a way that it sounds almost seamless, if not totally seamless.
Yeah.
And they chose that version of New Wave.
Which I really enjoy. That's like one of my highlights on here.
Oh yeah, no, it's fucking great. I think that's a bust. Let's just move on.
Yeah, like that's a moment. Go ahead.
The highlight of this album, because if we're going to this ranking it as a live album, not as an Against Me album or just an album, just as a live album, the actual songs on here sound kind of rough around the edges. I don't think the mixing was done too well for all that. Laura's stage banter, however, was fucking great.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And she commands the band and the audience pretty well with the like a new wave where she's fighting against a security guard that wants to kick somebody out and she's trying to get him to stay, or well, later on
we'll have to play guitar.
I think it was a kid who was moshing too hard, but it might have been a kid who was underage or something.
I think from what I understand, it was maybe the kid was like dancing with the security guard or something, and the security guard didn't like that. Who knows? But there was also a commentary later on about a slip and slide, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
but also explaining the songs and kind of talking about recontextualizing them because she has transitioned at this point, and so some of the songs have changed from earlier in her career because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ocean hit's different.
The Gritty Clit is the venue name, the fictional venue name, not the Dirty Clit. Sorry,
Mm.
but yeah, it's 23 tracks and it covers a wide variety throughout Against Me's career. Which in the research for this, I was very intrigued by the fact that as someone who came on to this band when Transgender Dysphoria Blues came around, like that album was a whole rebirth for the band, not just because of the identity thing, but more because at that point in their career, they were considered like has-been. Like they were considered like, they'd sold out, gone mainstream,
Yeah.
and they were
Yeah, well, a lot of people didn't like New Wave as an album
right.
when it came out. That were prior Against Me fans, just because it was it was a lot more alternative than it was punk.
Right, and like the songs like I Was a Teenage Anarchist were kind of a boiling point with some people because it's like, what do you mean you were? Is that a reference to you were a teenager or you were an anarchist? Because that was kind of what their message and their name and their brand was kind of all about was, anarcho punk.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I think, with her coming out and kind of having Transgender Dysphoria Blues be this amazing album and kind of rebirthed a lot of goodwill in them, and this album, I guess, kind of tries to package it all together, regardless of era, regardless of how people were feeling, and trying to make it more cohesive.
Mm.
And so I think, doing it the way that they've done it, there's a lot of work I think that went into it, but it presents, I guess, you could say almost the idealized version of what a concert of theirs would be like.
Yeah.
It's like songs like The Ocean and like the way they let the ocean just hang there and you hear the audience slowly devolve into just wanting to hear Sink Florida Sink is really
Yeah,
awesome.
they start singing. Yeah, them singing along to Sink Florida Sink, and then they actually playing it is a really great moment on this album. It's a really great ending to this, and I messaged in the chat my controversial take, which is I said Fresh Unreal is the best Against Me song, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. So it's not actually me really saying it is the best Against Me song. I haven't really properly determined what my favorite is, but it is just the one that's just the. I mean, it's the most mainstream song, so that's probably why it's a good old controversial take to do there.
Mm.
It's catchy. I like Fresh Unreal.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like it.
It's a fun song.
I did want to note that I think. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't like that the backing vocals basically drown out Laura though in the mixing.
Yeah, they did a lot of work to make sure that I think that the backing vocals and the kind of the band had a presence, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's not like I'm criticizing being able to hear backing vocals. It's just
they
drown
loud.
out Laura.
Yeah.
It's a mixing issue, not an issue with the band.
What I was gonna say though is I was intrigued by this Sink Florida Sink and We Laugh at Danger and Break All the Rules because I don't know if this was like just a cut to a different night or something, but you could definitely tell this was the end of the concert because her vocals got really rough. She was really kind of struggling through these, and I was intrigued by that because the ocean sounded fine throughout the whole thing.
I'm not too sure. Obviously, I didn't really check the set list on here, but yeah, there is definitely a bit more of a change in the vocal quality.
Yeah,
around that. It's a bit odd, I guess, but yeah, what can you do?
I mean, the idea being like, oh, maybe the ocean was really meant to be the ending, and then they really came back for that encore. She really decided, let's go for it. I don't care how I sound. We're gonna really give them a show. Who knows? But
I'll go search up Setlist FM right now on Against Me, and we'll see. We'll see which one that was.
But I will say, as a newer fan, it's so easy to pick up the Transgender Dysphoria Blues songs on this list, and they're all so good.
Yeah.
Like, I do like the older stuff, but anything from that album just goes really fucking hard.
It does.
I would disagree that it goes hard just because it's a change in sound. Like it's still great songs, obviously, yeah. But a lot of the Transgender Dysphoria blues songs are a lot less punkier than the others.
That's true.
Just sound wise, not obviously the topics in there as well. I mean, oh yeah, if you have a song called Osama bin Laden as a crucified Christ, it's going to be as accessible in its lyricism as you would expect it to be.
Sure.
Granted, you could probably pick out most of these songs that are before New Wave and then New Wave and after. That is a massive sound change, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, a lot of them,
On him.
like, there was very much an era where they were very much into, like, kind of like Western type music of, like, like cowboys and Indians type stuff.
Yeah, well, they had a couple albums with a cowboy reference on them.
Yeah, Against Me is the Eternal Cowboy.
Yeah,
that's usually considered to be by a lot of fans before New Wave and stuff as their best album. And there's also, I think they remade or did something about it. The original Cowboy is out there as well, and then their debuts fucking reinventing Axl Rose.
Yep.
So that's Against Me.
Yeah, go ahead, Trix.
I really don't have much to say. I'm just kind of commenting.
If that's fair enough.
What did you think of the whole thing overall, I guess?
It's fun, but I've come to realize that it's not really my style of punk anymore, if that makes any sense.
Interesting.
Like, it's not fresh enough quite for me, if I
That's fair.
to explain it. Like, it's missing a je ne sais quoi about it. I can't explain.
Is it just because it's older, or just because it's not raw in the way you want it to be?
No, it's just an entirely different vibe.
Okay.
So I'm just looking, by the way, at some of these set lists. So Sync Florida Sync was basically their closer all the time with encores.
Okay.
So they'll have a lot of kind of like changes in the set list order and stuff. But the one thing that seems to be consistent was Sync Florida Sync being their encore closer. So this is actually the least consistent on there because it's not the encore closer; it's the second last.
Are there any that have We Laugh at Danger as the closer instead?
Not that I will see. Let me click on a random one. When were these recorded again?
It's sometime in 2014.
Yeah, I'm looking a bit in 2015 when this was released. And what state roughly was it?
Well, it's a fictional story of it was February 29th in Indiana, but I don't think that date would exist on that year in that state.
Nah.
So instead, it's just throughout, I think, their tour after Transgender Dysphoria Blues came out.
Yeah, let's take a look at this one in Philadelphia, for say, on May 6th, 2014. Yeah, Sync Florida Sync was number 22, and We Laugh at Danger was 23, but definitely a different a different set list on there in general.
Interesting. Maybe they just cut over to those.
And if I take a look at, say, well, they didn't even tour once in February. They did on January 29th, but if I say March 9th, 2014, that's the closest one on there. We Laugh at Danger and Break All the Rules is the last song, and Sync Florida Sync is the last song before the encore.
So it's very possible they could have just cut over to those two from somewhere else, because The Ocean just kind of ends with the group, with the audience singing it, and then in the next one they just kind of come in, right? So that would be a pretty decent way to hide a cut, I think.
Yeah, it would.
But
it's a nice live album.
Yeah, it's cool that they try to make it cohesive like that. I mean, for me, Sync Florida Sync is always going to be a fun, great song to listen to because I knew that as a song that Lucas Skookas covered back in the day. Didn't know what it was from, but here we are, right? Like, I've known for a while now, but it's like, oh, that was my first introduction to what Against Me was about. And I've always enjoyed that kind of, that little history, that little memory of that. But like that and like the Transgender Dysphoria Blues songs for me are always the highlights. The Ocean's pretty
Yeah.
cool too.
Yeah, the Ocean's pretty cool live.
But there is definitely, I guess, there are several stylistic changes that make it, I guess, hard for cohesion to truly exist.
Yeah, but it's not uncohesive or incohesive or whatever the term is. It's a good live album. I mean, live albums usually only get as good as they do, and I'm not gonna go out here and say, yeah, you have to listen to this. It's not really like this most important part in Against Me's discography. But if you're a big Against Me fan, then I won't even have to tell you to listen to this because you would have already and you would have enjoyed it.
Fair enough.
Favorites, The Ocean, yeah, that was good live. Transcended Dysphoria Blues and True Trans Soul Rebel were pretty good live as well, obviously because they were fresh. But I actually think the favorite moments on here is 100% obviously New Wave for the whole let that kid stay moment, and then they just give up on the song and continue on. And Pretty Girls, The Mover, I'm actually going to give a shout out to because that one had a bit of an interesting backstory talking about at the start there.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Sink Florida Sink, The Ocean, I really like those. Unconditional Love, I really like Black Me Out. I think this album's really realized how much I really like Black Me Out also, like in general.
Black Me Out's a fucking banger.
Like I liked it before, but that's probably one of my favorite Against Me songs now. And then of course Transcendent Dysphoria Blues, True Trans Soul Rebel. I think Fuck My Life 666 is a great opening track too for this.
Yeah. It's a fun album. I pretty much agree with everything Domino said.
Cool.
I really don't have anything fresh to add to it.
All right, rankings of the week. I was just trying to think if there's anything else, but no, it's time for the good old rankings of the week, and I will probably just start it because I don't know how to stop talking at this moment.
Sure.
So, least favorite out of all this, I have to obviously give to Fredo Disco. That one was just I didn't really care too much for it. And then I have to be realistic out of all this. And part of me wants to tie these two, but I'll probably give Phoneboy number 3 and then Mum Jeans number 2, just because I'm more likely to go back to Mum Jeans songs. And I think as an album, maybe Phoneboy's better, but it's also like kind of similar. In a way, I don't know. I'm not going to think about too much about it anymore. 3 is Phoneboy, 2 is Mum Jeans. 1, and it's not like it's a week where the winner would win any other week, or any of these artists would win every other week. But it's not like it was a bad week either. But number 1 is Against Me.
I would agree with that.
It's Against Me. It's Against Me songs. I mean,
yeah,
we're really going to go wrong with this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we like Shapeshift with Me as much as Transgender Dysphoria Blues, but
yeah, but this is before Shapeshift with Me.
That's fair.
Boyfriend pops into my head every now and then.
Provision L3 pops in my head every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm putting Mom Jeans last, and then Fredo Disco is gonna be right above that. I was also thinking about a tie between Phoneboy and Against Me, but I will give Phoneboy number 2 and Against Me number 1 because I think they both have songs that are really positive and good, but Against Me just has more moments.
Yeah, my ranking is exactly the same as Domino's.
Mom Jeans last, then Fredo, then Phoneboy. Wow, full agreement week for Tricks and Me.
That's alright. Well, when I pick up my Best Buds vinyl from the merch stand at the Factory Theater from Mum Jeans, then we'll see who the real winner is.
Make sure you get it signed.
Yeah, sure. Actually, they wrote in their Twitter, they're not bringing that trombone, but if someone brings one to the gig, they'll play it during Scott Pilgrim.
Can you ask them to cry while they sign it?
And if you ask them, Pastor, so what?
Can you ask them to cry while they sign it?
Hell yeah. Alright, what are we doing next week, lads?
I'd like to go first, actually, because I have a question. I have a question for you, Ritz.
Okay, well, how shitposty is the question?
Not very shitposty, more academic.
Okay,
How well
well,
known is
I'll
Shel
get this right.
Silverstein in Australia?
Is who?
Shel Silverstein.
Silverstein. Let me let me just quickly check to see who the fuck this is to make sure.
Where the sidewalk ends.
I'm going to have to tell you to. I've got personally no clue because I don't know if they ever had some success back in the day.
Perfect. We're gonna be well, you know one of his songs, "A Boy Named Sue" by Johnny Cash. He wrote that. But today we're gonna be doing next week we're gonna be doing an album, "Songs and Stories" by Shel Silverstein.
What a fucking album cover! Holy shit!
Yeah.
Why didn't you just send this to me and say, "Do I know this?" And that would have been enough for me to say I'm interested.
He died while in the act with 2 women. So.
Holy shit!
That's. I'm in love. What a man! Fucked a guitar and 2 women. Can't get better than this. Dominic, you want to go on?
Yeah.
I still haven't decided. You're doing a 2023, aren't you?
Yes. I'm gonna do a 2023 album, and it's short enough. I'm also throwing in a 2022 EP. I'm gonna be concluding my little journey this week into queerness and sex and gender stuff and everything. We're gonna do Sam Smith's Gloria.
Yeah, that's expected.
And then we're also gonna throw on the Stone Fruit EP by Left at London and G Rolla.
Indeed.
Stone Fruit EP, huh?
I believe it's Bandcamp exclusive.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's because the samples, if I'm remembering correctly.
And then, yes, and like Left at London's first album, this EP was made in 24 hours. That one was made in a few weeks, but this was a little timed project.
Well, I have been blessed over my sickness with Dominic constantly posting whenever someone releases stuff on Twitter over onto this Discord. And we've been blessed with some catch-ups from some artists that we've covered over the past 2 years as well. And I'm just going to be very lazy and just pick them because I'm probably going to have them in my rotation anyway. May as well start off.
Sure.
So we're picking up with the new Postcard Nowhere album, which seems to be released under the Momentary Warmth moniker. So we'll be starting off with that. And there was absolutely no fucking surprise that I was going to pick this as soon as you mentioned it. If you had actually waited until later today, maybe I wouldn't have picked it. But no, we're of course going to do this. I'm not even going to fucking hide that I want to do this. We're going to do the Home Is Where I Became Birds tribute compilation called We Share the Same Insects.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Not even going to hide that I want to do that.
It's going to be an interesting week.
Of course, and we need to mention, of course, that compilation is basically Stomach Book, Paranol, Agent Glow, Lobster Fight, and Awakened Still in Bed, and then also Hekra. But that's the only one we haven't covered yet.
Yeah.
I listen to I Became Birds still constantly. It's like one of those when I was starting to think, do I think this is a 10 out of 10 record? And now it's one of those points where if I think it's a 9 out of 10, then Home Is Where I got cancelled.
Huh.
That is the only way I'm going to say it wasn't a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. It's a bigger album.
Well,
it's a fantastic record to me, and then you just got to put that on and go. Every fucking artist that I've loved for the last 2 years is covering it. I'm like, all right. I might have just came in my pants a couple times.
I want to point out that for Gloria, we're just going to do the regular version, no special versions. I know there's like a special version that's like double the length. We're not doing that one. But I want to ask you, Ritz, are we doing the bonus tracks for Momentary Warmth?
The 10 bonus tracks that were on there, which is longer than the album by a shit long time?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
You know what? Since we're
not judging the album by it, but you're just gonna listen to it anyway.
What's that?
I'm gonna add on another album.
Okay.
Go ahead, you cunt.
We're gonna be doing another Shel Silverstein, "Freaking at the Freakers Ball."
Freaking at the Freakers Ball?
And it's an expanded edition.
You freaking fricks!
Where is this Freaking at the Freakers Ball?
It's on YouTube Music. It's from 1972.
Let's see. Album,
Oh, that's the
popular
books.
release. Yep, I see it. Expanded edition, which is actually not too long. For an
No,
expanded
it's only
edition.
45 minutes. But I figured since I'm doing a 30-minute and you guys are adding on a bunch of shit, I might as well.
Mine's not that long.
I specifically said we're doing the regular version of Gloria plus a 5-minute EP, for the record.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, I heard one song off this album before we recorded, and I'm like, I kind of want to add this on anyways. I was just looking for an excuse.
That's very fair. So to recap here, we're gonna do Momentary Warmth, all of it, by Momentary Warmth / Postcard Nowhere. We're also gonna do the We Share the Same Insects and I Became Birds tribute compilation by Stomach Book, Paranol, Asian Glow, Lobster Fight, Hekra, and Awake But Still in Bed, in tribute, of course, to Home Is Where. I have chosen G Rolla and Left at London's Stone Fruit EP, as well as Sam Smith's Gloria. And Trix has chosen 2 albums by Shel Silverstein, Songs and Stories, and Freakin' at the Freakers Ball.
I just want to make a quick correction as well about Momentary Warmth. I said it was the Postcard Nowhere moniker. It looks like he's just a member of a band, and it's just released under the Postcard Nowhere Bandcamp. But
Sure.
All right.
Also,
just a quick correction there.
Yeah, Juvenalia's there still. It's weird. Whatever.
I think it's just a band that he's a part of, because Spotify bio says some boys making music.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that's gonna be Dissonant Waves this week, unless anyone has anything else to say.
Yeah, I do have something else to say. I have been Ritalin. You can catch me on our website, ritalin4kids@github.io. I also have a YouTube channel. It's in the description below.
Fuck, that was such a good segue. I've been Trix. You can catch me on Twitter, where I might be buying a Segway. Who knows?
Ooh.
Fuck, that is... You just gotta throw out that fucking announcement like it's nothing. I bought a Segway. I'm sorry, I didn't realize...
buying.
I was gonna say, you're getting a fucking Segway. I thought you were asexual, but here you are getting all the fucking women in the world.
It would be one of their scooters, not their actual Segways.
I've never seen a virgin on a Segway. I've never seen anyone on a Segway, but still.
Fair.
And I've been Dominic. You can catch me online at DACICHOCKI on Twitter. I'm also on YouTube, but go at your own risk, I guess. And I'm also on the Mini-Me Discord server if you want to find me there.
We're all there.
Yeah. I'm sometimes there.
You're also a mod.
I know what I said.
Anyway, yeah, buy our merch on Redbubble and go to our site, dissonantwaves.space, and we're at Dissonant Waves on Twitter, and we're Dissonant Waves, of course, on YouTube, which is probably where you're hearing this.
Indeed.
But that is going to be it for us. Hope you have a good night. Goodbye. Good luck. See you next time.
Bye.